So there is definitely a lower version of yourself, and there is a higher version of yourself. And the higher version of yourself is the ultimate goal. And the lower version of yourself is the version that has these thoughts of self-sabotage, that thinks that things are overwhelming. Hello, welcome to Authentically Aligned, a wellness podcast where we speak on all things wellness, from fitness and nutrition to meditation and mindfulness, healing, growth, self-help, and so much more. If you are a new listener, welcome to the podcast. And if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for your love and support. And I want you to know that I'm sending you that same love and support right back. On today's episode, I want to talk about habits and creating a life of alignment. Now, I say creating a life of alignment, but the truth is, if we are in our true purpose and we are actually in alignment and being authentically ourselves, we shouldn't have to create these habits, but rather step into these habits that make us our fullest and best self. Now, interestingly enough, I had a conversation with a great friend of mine just last week, and we talked about the overwhelm and the stress and the resistance that we can start to experience when we are creating new habits and we are trying to step into our best and highest self. And I will tell you right now that a lot of those thoughts are fear-based, they are self-sabotaging, and they're kind of irrelevant because really you're just allowing yourself to be stressed about nothing. And the way that I explain this to my friend is I told her that being you should be effortless. It should be 100% effortless. You should just be you, and you shouldn't have to worry about doing all of these things. But the thing is there are two different or many different versions of yourself, right? So there is definitely a lower version of yourself, and there is a higher version of yourself. And the higher version of yourself is the ultimate goal. And the lower version of yourself is the version that has these thoughts of self-sabotage, that thinks that things are overwhelming or feeling impossible, or you have too much going on, or you're creating too many habits. And the conversation that I had with her, we talked about how to overcome that overwhelm. And what I said is that overwhelm is created in fear. But if you sit down and you take a minute and you recognize who your highest self is, you envision your highest self, and naturally your highest self is already doing these habits that they want to do, whether that's waking up early, whether that's making your bed, whether that's staying disciplined in your career and in your purpose, and understanding that all you really need to do is allow yourself to understand and feel those habits and those choices that you make on a daily basis, that eventually, once you get rid of that fear and that self-sabotage, those habits are effortless because that's who you are and that's exactly who you want to be and that's who you're destined to be. But I think that overcoming that fear and overcoming that self-sabotage really takes time connecting with yourself, connecting with God, connecting with your higher power in order to be able to sit still, be silent, and hear the clarity. Use your intuition to create those habits. Taking time to build your relationship with yourself, build your relationship with God, and really truly becoming so clear on who you are and who you are meant to be. And I know this is very similar to previous episodes, but I want to just dive a bit further in really understanding what your values are. what your morals are, how you want to show up. If you could take yourself outside of any room and envision yourself walking into a room, what does that look like? Or what do you want that to look like? What is your highest, best self? And if you envision yourself walking into a room, your very best self, what are the habits of that person? What did they do this morning before they got to wherever they were going? How were they acting on the drive? Are they feeling at peace? Are they feeling chaotic? Are they feeling stressed? Because if you make a list of all of the not only emotions, but behaviors and habits that your highest self has, I guarantee you can apply them to every single thing that you do throughout the day. And it becomes a lot easier to shift your mindset and shift that frame of mind where you think that these little habits are impossible. But if you were to witness yourself making choices that you didn't agree with or that weren't in alignment with your highest and best self, are those choices that you would be proud of? Or are those choices that if you were witnessing yourself do, you would be like, wow, I really just did that? I have this theory and I've yet to share it because I think that it can seem a bit egotistical or it can be perceived the wrong way. So I'm going to talk about it and explain it to you guys, but I call it the paparazzi theory. So this theory is envisioning yourself doing whatever you are doing and imagine being caught by the paparazzi. Someone takes a photo of you and then it goes in the newspaper or it goes in the media or whatever the case may be. Now, when you see that photo or when you see that video, is that something that you are proud of? Is that the person that you want to be? Is that the person that you want to show up as? Now, I say that it can be egotistical and I don't want this theory to come across as that, but because it shouldn't be that you don't like what you see because you are worried about what others may think. It should be that you don't like what you see because you know that that is not in alignment with your highest self and your true purpose and your best self. So taking time to, anytime you're out, anytime you're making a choice, anytime you're acting a certain way, take yourself out of the mix or snap a photo, snap an image of in your brain and visualize where you are in that moment and evaluate. Is this my highest self? Am I in alignment with me and my true self? Because a lot of times we are acting out of ego, or we are acting out of fear, or we are self-sabotaging, or we are acting out of that lack mindset. And when we're able to take a screenshot of whatever it is that's happening to us in that exact moment and evaluate and look at the screenshot in your head and be like, oh, wow, no, this is not me. This is my ego that's upset because this person said this or whatever the case is. But really applying that to every situation in your life, applying it to even driving in traffic. And I always use driving in traffic, probably because I live in LA and I sit in traffic all the time. And I used to be a crazy driver. And now I have just found so much peace in driving, and I do my red light meditations, and I understand that I'm going to get where I'm going when I'm supposed to get there in God's timing. But, thinking about the behaviors that you're doing while you're driving, are you showing up as your best self? Are you at peace? Are you finding content? Are you feeling fulfilled within yourself? And even something as simple as driving, we can act in ways that are not our true self. But if we start our day like that, or if we are driving a lot throughout the day and we continuously practice having this attitude and having this frustration, then what do you think is going to carry with you through the rest of the day? Those frustrations, that attitude, the stress, the honking, whatever it is, you feel that anxiousness and then you carry it with you through the rest of your day. Understanding that everything you do throughout your day is a practice. Everything that you do takes mindfulness, or maybe it's not mindfulness and that's why you're rushing through the day and you're stressed. But when you're able to really, really, really be mindful and hold yourself accountable, take a step back and look at yourself. Think about how you would see yourself if you could see yourself. And I think that that is so beautiful, because so many times now when I take a step back at myself and I think about seeing myself from an outside perspective, that is somebody that I am proud of. That is somebody that I am proud to be. And that is somebody that I know that my younger self aspired to be. And that's beautiful. And I want you to continue practicing that mindfulness. It takes time, but when you're able to slow down and take time, we don't always have to be rushing around, but maybe take 2 minutes throughout your day. Maybe it's every hour, and evaluate yourself. Check in on yourself. Are these practices that I'm doing? Because everything is a practice. Everything becomes routine. And the more you do something, good or bad, the more it becomes instilled in your brain. Obviously, the more good things that you do, the more you're going to start to experience that alignment and that fulfillment. And when you're able to experience that, you're able to really step into your best, most authentic self, and you're able to create the life of your dreams, because you know that you deserve that, and you know that you're going to accept nothing less than that. Understanding and envisioning who you are and where you are headed, and showing up as that every single day. Making sure that you are not creating the habits because of outside influences or people thinking that you should do something, and making sure that you're creating these habits and creating this life for yourself based off of your morals and based off of your values. And you're not able to envision that or even see that until you really sit with yourself and connect with yourself and understand, what are my morals? What are my values? What are the things that I stand for? And when you know the things that you stand for and the things that you don't stand for, it makes decision making, it makes moving through life, it makes showing up as yourself so easy. It makes it effortless. And then you are able to flow in your life, and you are able to say no at the drop of a hat. You are able to make a decision at the top of your hat. That is something that was so important in my journey, is being able to make a decision. I was the most indecisive person because I had so much playing in my head, because I was probably thinking about maybe what others would say, what others would think. Is this going to make this person proud? Is this going to hurt this person? But what about me? And the second that I flipped that around and knew that I was in alignment with myself, in alignment with God, and able to use my discernment, trust my discernment, and trust my intuition, life got so much easier, because I knew that there was no wrong decision, that God is constantly guiding me in every step that I take. And every decision is for a reason. But when I was making decisions for somebody else or making decisions for the wrong reason, I didn't have faith. How could I have faith when those decisions weren't mine? Those decisions weren't based in my faith. And now that I can make a decision using my discernment based on faith, everything just flows. And I'm able to, maybe it takes a second, but all I have to understand is this in alignment or is this not in alignment? And there's my decision. It makes decision making so much easier and so much quicker and so much better. And then that takes away probably at least 25% of the stress in your life, because decision making is hard. And I know you can sit and you can ruminate on a decision for days, for even weeks sometimes, and it will eat away at you. But the reality is you can talk to anybody that you want to talk to. And the more people that you talk to, the further away from your true self and the alignment you are getting, because you're getting all of these voices in your head, you're getting all of these opinions. When really, if you were to take 30 minutes and sit with yourself, have a conversation with yourself, have a conversation with God, meditate, the decision would naturally come to you. You would be able to feel that decision in your heart and your spirit and your soul. And these are the things that I'm talking about that are alignment, because we put so much pressure on ourselves to make decisions, to create habits, to do whatever, because somebody else is telling us, oh, you should do this, or you should do this way, or I should probably do this because it's going to be better for this, or I shouldn't do this because this is going to hurt this person's feelings. And I promise you, when you start to connect more with yourself and with your faith and take that time before going to outside sources, before turning to social media, before turning to even friends and family, you are going to feel your highest and your best self. When you are in true connection with yourself, and when you are able to trust your intuition and use your faith and show obedience, everything flows effortlessly. And it is so beautiful, and it's so amazing, and it feels so good. And you are able to really experience gratitude because you absolutely know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, because you have faith, and you know, and you trust your discernment, and you trust your spirit, and you trust your higher power. And you know that that is not going to steer you wrong. You know, I truly believe I'm a very impulsive person, okay? But I truly believe that so many of our impulsive thoughts, that is our intuition, that is our self, that is God, that is telling us what we should do and how to move. Do you ever have an impulsive thought to maybe call a friend, or maybe help somebody that you see on the street, or whatever it is? And I truly believe that that right there, when you're able to start to listen to those impulsivities and listen to your intuition and connect with yourself, that is when true movement and momentum starts to happen. Because like I said earlier, then you are obeying, you are being obedient to yourself and allowing yourself that higher and best purpose for your life. I think once you really start to practice trusting your intuition and become so clear, it makes it so easy to envision where you are going, where you are headed, and in turn makes it so easy to make educated decisions based on your purpose and your calling and exactly where you're supposed to be. Envisioning who you are. Are you the kind of person that greets people with kindness? Are you the kind of person that brings people calm and peace? Are you the kind of person that shows love no matter the situation? Are you the kind of person that brings chaos into a room? And maybe you used to be, or maybe you still are, but you know that that's not your destiny. So what does that look like to not be the chaotic person in the room? What does it look like to be the kind, compassionate, peaceful, loving person in the room? What does it look like to move with that compassion, to move with that love? And what does it look like to feel lighter? To feel like you are really just floating through life? It's such an indescribable feeling. And I know I say this all the time, but when you are moving in that light and moving in that love, you have faith in God. You are trusting, and you know that you are doing no wrong. You know that you are showing up 1000% every day. And maybe every day that looks different, and that's okay. There are some days where I don't want to talk to anybody, and that's okay. That's my time to fill my cup. But understanding those moments and still being able to move in love and show light to others is where my flow comes from. Sometimes me showing love to others and giving others a light is what really fills my cup. And it's what allows me to be in my full purpose. Asking yourself, are you the kind of person that speaks up when you disagree with something? Are you the kind of person that stands up for what they believe in? Are you the kind of person that wakes up every morning and chooses to be disciplined to show themselves love? Are you the kind of person that wakes up in the morning and cleans your space and makes your bed and dedicates time to connecting with yourself, connecting to your faith, and showing up as that? Connect with yourself, be your best self, and allow yourself to get rid of those limiting beliefs. Take time at the end of the day to step back, step out of the room, and envision what your day looked like. And is that something that you are proud of? Does that make you feel good? Like, think about if you were to take a day where you woke up early, you practiced your faith, you cleaned your space, you made your bed, you went to the gym, you ate healthy, you took care of yourself, you filled your cup, and then you filled everybody else's cup, and you were able to witness that. Think about how much gratitude you would feel, how much love you would feel, how respected you would feel by yourself. Showing yourself that respect on the daily, respecting yourself enough to know that you deserve to take care of yourself. You deserve to show up for yourself. And letting that flow, letting that feel good, because the more that you start to practice it, the more that you start to do it, that's when your life just becomes effortless. And that's when these habits are now your lifestyle. You don't have to think about them. You don't have to focus on creating them because you're in alignment with yourself and you are doing all of the things that feel so good. By the end of the day, you may do all of these things, and we can think of all of these things being tiresome things. We can think of cooking a nutritious meal being tiresome. We can think of going to the gym being tiresome. We can think of reading or studying, taking care of ourselves being tiresome. But I guarantee you, when you start to create habits out of these things, by the end of the day, you are going to be so much more full of light, so much more full of energy than you ever have been before. It's not about, so many times people are like, oh my gosh, I could never, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy to take care of yourself. When you start to take care of yourself, you naturally give yourself energy. You naturally wake up feeling better. You naturally wake up with a pep in your step. I promise, try it. But it takes that mind shift. It takes the reframing of, I don't have to do this. I'm choosing to do this, and I get to do this. And I am so grateful that I show up for myself every single day. I show myself love. I show myself respect. And I am committed to being my best self every single day. I've seen this quote, and I'm sure many of you have seen it, but the quote is, choose your hard. Everything in life is hard. Discipline is hard, right? But so is being sick. So is your body hurting from not taking care of it, from not being nutritious, from not going to the gym. It's hard to take care of your mind, right? It's hard to study. It's hard to want to better yourself. It's hard to journal and get rid of these limiting beliefs and this self-sabotage and these fears. But I will tell you, it's so much harder to be scared of life. It's so much harder to be depressed and unhappy with your life. So why not do the hard things? The hard things are what make you better. The hard things are, yes, they're hard, but think of all of the hard things that you have been through and think of how they have changed you. Think of how they have shifted who you are or even where you are today. And imagine every time you're addressed with something that's hard, you tackle it with grace, you tackle it with discipline, with dignity, with integrity. And then once it's tackled, you feel light as a feather. You feel so great. You're so full of love, so full of gratitude. So this week, I want you to practice alignment, to practice the habits of your highest self. Pick 3 habits that your highest, best self actively does, and show up as that. Be that. Walk into a room as that. Envision yourself as that. Yes, it may be hard, but I promise you, not being your authentic self, not living a life of truth is so much harder at the end of the day. As always, I am sending you so much love and light. And I want you to be your best self. So take this week, practice being in alignment, practice finding your truth, practice having faith, trusting your intuition, trusting God, and practice stepping into your best self always.